Hey everybody, we are back with our last episode of the season, this Haunt Fix series. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the stuff we've been looking at. We said we were going to come back to Knott's. We said we were going to do the Ghost Town Streets and finish up with that in a special way, and we are. We're here with our friend Ted Dougherty, who has a lot of history with this place. So he's going to help us give some of his haunt fixes as we make our way around Ghost Town. All right, Ted has taken us here to his first spot. Where'd you take us?
Well, we're in front of what is now Town Hall. But speaking of monsters always kind of remind us of Halloween and you know, watching these different videos for our haunt fixes of wonderful things like of wax museums and the Chambers of Horrors always reminds us of monsters, and Universal Studios with the birthplace of the monster movies and the Bates Motel and Psycho House and all that, and of course Happy-Go-Lucky Knott's Berry Farm. But for Knott's Scary Farm weirdos like us, we know that there's shadows of Halloween that lurk around here all year round that kind of really remind us of the fact that there's 1,000 monsters that invade this whole area every autumn. Now, Knott's Berry Farm, Knott's Scary Farm, so near and dear to my heart that I could spend hours upon hours taking to you to different spots and kind of rambling about these different stories and stuff, but thankfully for you and your viewers, I'm not going to do that. So we picked out 5 different spots that kind of give me that haunt fix. And so the first time I ever heard the term haunt fix was about 10 years ago, 2012, on the official Knott's Scary Farm Facebook page, and that was kind of connected to the Haunt Museum, which was right here. And so if you didn't know, the Haunt Museum was here to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Knott's Scary Farm, and it was only supposed to be here for that one season. Right. But it was so popular that it turned into an all-year-round exhibit for 3 years. And so you could get your haunt fix by visiting the Haunt Museum in the off-season. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about the Haunt Museum in a second. I mean, the idea is you know, I spent so much time here during the Haunt Museum because I not only helped a little bit with the content, and there was these wonderful exhibits like the timeline that our friend Eric Linksweiler did, and the costume and wardrobe samples and videos and stuff, but there was a very elaborate desk in there, and that's where I did all my book signings. And so not only did they sell the book here, I got to meet and greet with all of these fans, which was so wonderful to really kind of share stories with different people, and really isn't that kind of what this is all about, of sharing those stories and kind of connecting with people, celebrating our past, educating those who are interested in it and who have lived it, and really kind of pointing toward a positive future. But when we're talking about our haunt fix, something important to remember is that the event debuted in 1973, October 26, 27, 28. And that's a big year for Knott's Scary Farm historians. And when this building, this structure, was used for the Haunt Museum, it was the bonnet shop before that, then the Haunt Museum. But when they were creating the Haunt Museum, they put an address on the outside of this building. And if we want to pan over, we can see the address right here is indeed 1973, the birth year of Knott's Scary Farm. So that is a constant reminder that the fog of Knott's Scary Farm is never too far away from us here at Knott's.
That is fantastic. And we bought the book and got in line to get you to sign it long before Parks and Cons and long before we ever had met you, which was a highlight then. That's a fantastic location. What a great start.
Yes, right there.
All right, we're here at stop number 2, familiar spot.
Well, we just got through talking about the Haunt Museum, and we haven't gone too far. We just went around to the backside of the building on this, the backside of this little ramp here. But we just talked a little bit about history and authoring a book and all that stuff. But I do wear another hat, which is writing, producing, and directing seasonal attractions for theme parks, which allows me to work sometimes here for Knott's Scary Farm. And so here we are, kind of over overlooking the Wilderness Dance Hall, and there's this nice plaza here, and very blessed to have worked with industry designer John Cook and the extremely talented people at Knott's Berry Farm, as I wrote and co-directed Origins, The Curse of Calico, that was housed right here inside the Wilderness Dance Hall. And so quite often I would kind of hang out right here and kind of oversee, because right here in this plaza area, this is where the queue for the attraction would end and before people would go in. And so there's a bunch of guests here kind of queuing, and there's also live actors that were engaging these guests, kind of setting up the story for Origins. So this was a nice vantage point for me to kind of oversee these actors and kind of learn and really kind of feel that electricity, that energy that the guests had of just waiting to get into this attraction. I do the same thing at the exit for any of attractions I work on, to kind of just duck off to the shadows and really kind of evaluate people coming out. Hopefully they're laughing, screaming, and all that good stuff. But right here, this is almost kind of a Zen moment for me to kind of oversee everything that and kind of learn how the actors are engaging the guests and all that good stuff. But plus, here is the Wilderness Dance Hall, which is huge in the history of Knott's Scary Farm. It's housed some of the most popular mazes in the event's history. So not only was it an honor to work on Origins, it was an honor to work inside of this structure. So hopefully next time you are here at Knott's Berry Farm and you see the Wilderness Dance Hall, you'll know that there's been millions and millions of screams echoing throughout this structure. And so this is my haunt fix number 2.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to the next one. All right, we've moved to a spot that I think any Scary Farm fan has to come by, whether it's Merry Farm, Boysenberry Festival, whatever. But what does it mean to you?
Well, I did say we were going to do 5 stops, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. Okay. I'm going to break this into 2 mini spots. Okay. And so, yes, we are here in front of the Boot Hill Diggins sign next to this structure, which is actually the Lucky Cuss Mine. The sign's way up there on top. And we just talked about Origins and the queue ending over there at the Wilderness Dance Hall. Well, if you came to the event, the queue actually started around here outside of the Boot Hill Diggins sign. And as guests entered the attraction, they'd be greeted by one of these characters that would be kind of up in this cart over here, a lawman that had this wanted poster searching for this missing woman, Sarah Marshall, who was accused of witchcraft. But Origins is not the first maze that actually kind of started back over here. It dates way back to the very first maze built solely for Knott's Scary Farm, 1977's the 10 Chilling Chambers that actually started right here. And in fact, there was a sign that covered this sign right here, the Boot Hill Diggins sign, that said the Chilling Chambers. And over here on the Lucky Cuss Mine scaffolding, there was a platform that was set up there where there was a live barker that was microphoned, that was sitting up there enticing guests to enter that maze. We have to remember back then, the guests were getting acclimated on what these kind of walk-through attractions were like and all of that stuff. So this barker was inviting people, encouraging people to go into the 1977 10 Chilling Chambers maze. And so that's why this always gives me a little bit of a haunt fix. But let's go to part 2 into actual Boot Hill.
All right, so you've brought us to one of my favorite spots in any theme park, anywhere we've ever been.
Well, here we are in the middle of Boot Hill, and I've always kind of looked at Boot Hill as almost kind of the epicenter of Knott's Scary Farm. So we've talked about history and book writing and show writing for attractions, but also helped write some of the folklore of Knott's Scary Farm. And a lot of people may not realize that in the folklore of Scary Farm, all the monsters that are in Ghost Town, that they see in Ghost Town in the off-season, reside underneath us right now in Boot Hill. And so, we're here by the Hiram McTavish grave, and over the years, there's been thousands of guests that love to step right on this grave and feel what seems to be a heartbeat. However, the folklore tells us it's not a heartbeat. It's actually hundreds and hundreds of monsters trying to pierce the veil by punching it. And they're trying to get out, but they're cursed and they can't get out until autumn. So next time you're here at Knott's Berry Farm, you can come over to the Hiram McTavish grave and feel the monsters trying to get out, and they'll pierce that veil in autumn, but they can't do so until now. But of course, as we're talking about, this is kind of, I've always felt that this is like the epicenter of Knott's Scary Farm. I mean, we're talking about a full cemetery inside the middle of this theme park. That always gives me that haunt fix.
Oh gosh, how can you not come here and touch the heart, right? How can you not come here and take a picture with the backdrop and everything? It is like the place to be. So, all right, on to the next stop. All right, stop number 4 brings us to a spot with a lot of theme park history. Why is it a haunt fix, though?
Wow. Okay, so we're standing right here in front of the Timber Mountain log ride. It's down for refurbishment right now, so there's no water coming down. And we're right across the way from the Calico mine ride. What a lot of maybe younger Knott's Scary Farm fans may not realize is that the log ride and the mine ride were the 2 main scare attractions at Knott's Scary Farm for many, many years. The Haunted Shack, a now defunct attraction here at Knott's Berry Farm, had a monster maze, and so there was a walkthrough. But as we learned earlier, the first maze built solely for Knott's Scary Farm wasn't until 1977. And throughout that, and many years to come, these were still the main scare attractions for Scary Farm. And so there would be live monsters that would be hiding and lurking inside the dark caverns, and they'd be popping out at the guests going by, shaking things, what they called shaker cans, which are like little metal cans that had like metal washers in them, which are variations of old trick-or-treat noisemakers back in the day, but they'd scare the daylights out of us. And so for many years, as a young tyke, I would come here and make a beeline to go on the log ride and the mine ride first when I had arrived to Knott's Scary Farm, because the lines for these attractions were just massive. 2 hours each, and so if you didn't plan appropriately, you'd waste half of your night just waiting to get into these 2 attractions. So we didn't want to do that, so we'd always hit these rides first. And then in 1993, when they introduced the pre-scare dinner, which is now the buffet, that allows the guests to get in a little bit earlier than compared to the general public, and so that really helped hitting these rides first before we started hitting the different mazes. But for me, it was just so awesome to be able to go through these rides and get the living daylights scared out of me by these live monsters. And the thing that is kind of important to know too is that not only were they really popular attractions, they kind of added a little bit of a difference and kind of a variation along with these different mazes that would be taking place throughout the rest of the event. But yes, as a young tyke, I would go through these attractions, and so to this day, going through the log ride, mine ride, I could still visualize the live monsters because their hiding spots you'd kind of almost memorize because you couldn't change them. Like a maze, you'd change the scare spots. Here, these are permanent installations, so the monsters would be kind of popping out at the same places, and so you kind of memorize it. So to this day, I can remember where these monsters were hiding, and so that's a perfect haunt fix. And so maybe next time you're here at Knott's Berry Farm going on the log ride, mine ride, you can kind of imagine these live monsters popping out and scaring the guests. And I mean, let's face it, log ride, mine ride by themselves are kind of creepy anyways. I mean, these are some of the most classic dark rides in all of the theme park history. I mean, in industry. I mean, that's a whole another discussion. But for Scary Farm, they will always have a special place in my heart and give me that definite haunt fix.
And that's such an interest, because like you said, like for us, we've only come multiple nights since like 2014 or whenever the pass came. So prior to that, we'd come our one time a year since 97, 96, and we'd come every year. But a lot of times we would end up skipping these because they had such long lines. We had one night, we're rushing through things. So they've never had quite the same history for me, because also in the last, since 2014, they haven't been as big a part to Scary Farm. So I love that, and now it gives me a new way to kind of look at both of them, or a more respect in how I look at them for the haunt fix side. I love it.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
All right, we're at our final spot for our final episode of this haunt fix series. Tell us about this place.
Well, we're here on Main Street in Ghost Town. In the monster community during Scary Farm, this is known as Fog Alley. It's shrouded in fog. There's spooky lighting, and we have talked about writing books and show writing and growing up here as a young tyke, discovering things like the log ride and mine ride. But we haven't talked about the fact that I worked here many years as one of the sliding monsters, as an undead werewolf, and I loved working here and training monsters and all kinds of stuff throughout the years. And Ghost Town monsters have the kind of the free reign to kind of roam wherever they want within Ghost Town, but I chose to spend most of my time right here in Main Street. I always kind of felt this is like kind of the heart of Ghost Town when it came to Knott's Scary Farm. It's all condensed with this fog, very kind of intense. And then also, if Ghost Town is the heart of Knott's Scary Farm, then I wanted to work right in where the heart of Knott's Scary Farm really was. And so, even though there's no monsters and people screaming now, in my mind's eye, anytime I am here, I can visualize very easily all those fond memories of people screaming, freaking out, and running around, terrifying a lot of these people. So this is a very near and dear place that I spent a lot of time in with very dear friends working at Knott's Scary Farm. And so, we also have to remember, Ghost Town by itself is inherently kind of spooky. This is not Frontierland. This is Ghost Town. And so whenever we see things like Ghost Town Alive and stuff like that, those characters we're interacting with are actually spirits from the Old West that we're engaging with. And so when it's not Scary Farm, though, that's the sinister side of those characters that are spirits that are being brought to life right here in the streets of Ghost Town. And so hopefully you and your viewers, when they come through Knott's Berry Farm, they can look at these wonderful old buildings and know that there's so much history here, not with just Knott's Berry Farm, but with Knott's Scary Farm. This is the granddaddy of all scare zones internationally, and so this place will always absolutely give me an ultimate haunt fix.
100% with you. As you said, like, it's for us even, and we spent nowhere near as long in here as you have working the event, but whenever we're here, it doesn't matter if the snow's falling during Merry Farm, you look out and it's Scary Farm, as you're always seeing Scary Farm here. There's no backdrop like this that we have ever seen anywhere that's here year round that you can just walk in and get that fix. And so this is why we wanted to save it to the end, this street in general. This is why we wanted you to be here in the end with all of your history with this beautiful place. So we thank you so much for taking time to do this with us. We thank all of you for following along in this series. We'll see how people react over the next year and see how time permits and all of that to look at next year and see if we pick back up or we do something different or who knows. But we do thank you for following along with us. We do have lots more fun Halloween stuff, spooky stuff, haunt fix stuff all year long coming up. So please follow along with us, like, subscribe, and let people know if they're Halloween fans to follow along with us. That being said, we're going to wrap up here. Big thanks to our friend here, Ted. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.